Nicole Scott from Own Your Sparkle channel. I've got my good friend Kimberly Masters from Vancouver on. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
So we're diving in. You guys know that I love to interview women, and my whole thing is, how do we raise our vibe? How do we bring our best sparkle to the world? And there's so many layers. There's so many layers. We talk about getting rid of the dye. We talk about upgrading our food. Well, today we're diving into an uncomfortable topic for so many, and I say uncomfortable because probably even just a few months ago this would have been really uncomfortable for me to have that conversation. So, we're going to be talking about the idea or the concept of either eliminating alcohol forever, um, maybe eliminating it for a period of time to see how you feel, or even just considering reducing it if you think you have that level of self control. And Kimberly, how I met her was through our Juice Plus world. She is a Juice Plus franchise owner, just like myself. A couple years ago, I flew out. She loved on me hard. She whipped me around the Vancouver area, across the ferry. We had so much fun together, and really got to know her heart and soul, and really heard her deep story about how booze really and drugs impacted her life, her family, and how she decided to say no and become sober and then create a clothing line to fit her new mission. So, Kimberly, I just want to welcome you. Thank you to connecting to me. And I just want you to kind of introduce our audience a little bit more to who you are, your heart, and why did you finally say no to the drink?
Thank you so much, Nicole. Yeah, so myself, I'm a single mom now of three, but where my journey really began is I was in a really bad marriage. Domestic violence is a large part of my story. And what happened was, my self-esteem was crumbled and I turned to booze for stress. When my job was really hard, I worked in the corporate world in accounting, and I would drink for stress, and then I would drink for depression. I was miserable. I was uncomfortable in my own skin, and I would drink to fill that void within myself and make me feel better about myself. And when my life got really dark and things turned south in my marriage and I left, I thought my journey with alcohol would end. I thought, I'm going to leave this bad marriage. I'm going to be in a new situation. Life's going to be better and I'm not going to have to drink. But I found that the drinking followed me. Now I'm a single mom and I had a different depression. I had my self-esteem was in the basement. I was having to work 60 hours a week to support myself and my children. I was in a tough divorce. And so yet again, alcohol was the solution for me. And it was even the wonderful celebration. I had a great day. I turned to alcohol. I had a bad day. I turned to alcohol. And I never really thought it was a problem because other people did the same. I was in the suburbs, and all the other middle class moms, their cup was full of wine when we were walking on Halloween night or what have you. So I thought it was the norm, but apparently it wasn't. And what the difference was for me was that when I tried to stop, I realized I couldn't. I thought I'm going to leave it alone for a month. It was a New Year's resolution. I was going to quit drinking for January, and I found I couldn't stop. And there was always that draw of needing to pick up a drink. And for myself, I was introduced to a 12-step program, and I learned a little bit more about alcoholism as opposed to alcohol abuse. I thought I just was a recreational drinker. I didn't think there was more to it. But I learned a little bit more about the physiology of the body and how alcohol reacted when I drank it. And it turns out I didn't drink like other people. And the reaction I had to alcohol wasn't like other people's reactions. So when I would leave dinner with my girlfriends and I would drive home, I thought everyone else was picking up a bottle on their way home as well. I thought everyone else might also be abusing other substances, which is part of my story. But they weren't. They were going home and doing the dishes, doing laundry, and going to bed. I was going home and drinking myself to sleep. I was a blackout drinker. Every time I drank to black out. And other people apparently don't do that. And when I learned that maybe that was a little bit more of a problem for myself.
Mm.
And so I went on a journey and decided I was going to stop drinking. I didn't think myself an alcoholic
Mhm.
because I had the nice house, I had the nice car, I still had my children, I had a good job. I wasn't, what I imagined an alcoholic to be. I imagined the old man under a bridge, homeless, in an overcoat with his booze in a paper bag, and I'm sitting in a $700,000 townhouse
Mhm.
driving a Mercedes. So I couldn't possibly be like that. Or, I don't do hard drugs or dirty drugs. I just do, you know, the fancy drugs. So I'm okay. But it turns out I was an alcoholic.
Right. And so, how many days? I know you count down often on social media of how many days you've been sober.
So I am just over 4.5 years sober, which when you work it out is about 1,600 days.
Yeah, I know. It's like you remember you're close to it, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Can you tell? Because I've seen your before and after pictures. I know when we did an event and you were like, "I got my body back," and your before and after pictures. And what we'll do is we'll actually, when we do this video, we'll make sure to put your before and after picture right after we have that conversation about what you looked like and what you could do in your life versus what you look like today. And not only looking, but feeling, I think, is even more important. So can you tell our audience a little bit about, you know, that journey of transformation physically, emotionally, and that feeling inside that you started to gain?
Well, absolutely. And for me, like I've completely changed, absolutely everything. And, we have another mutual friend who, had a similar story to me and had said a few nice, kind words. And one of the things she said was, nothing changes if nothing changes. And she said, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. When I started this journey, I was around 170 pounds. Like I said, my self esteem was in the basement. I had zero self worth, zero self esteem. And I've basically inwardly and outwardly changed everything. I've lost over 45 pounds and I have absolute, utter self confidence, peace and serenity. So, before I would wake up in the morning, my head would be full of noise, all of the scenarios of life running through my head. And today I wake up and my head's quiet. I can sit still within myself. I have the energy to get up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym. And I've been able to maintain that weight loss that I had. And it was like a switch went in me. It was like, I deserve better than this. There's more to life than what I've got. And I deserve to have it. Whereas before I didn't think I was worthy of it.
Yeah, I love that. And we were just talking before we jumped on this, just about like my sister on this journey of no booze as sisters together for a year supporting. So I stopped drinking August 15th. My sister after her 47th birthday, September 9th. And people will say like, why did you stop drinking? And I said, well, a couple of reasons. I said, one, I'm a nutritionist. And I have studied enough to know that alcohol is definitely linked to many, many diseases, along with a link to cancer. I had a scare a couple of years ago with lumps in my breast. So I really reduced my alcohol significantly after that scare. But it was my sister that had a stroke a year and a half ago at the young age of 46, a stroke. OMG. And then she has a benign tumor actually growing behind her ear,
Mhm.
another OMG. But yet the drink was so strong in her life that she couldn't function without one. So she went cold turkey, and I said, I'm going to be there to support you 100%. Um, and we created this No Booze November, thinking, we'll get a few friends and family. Well, we're well over 100 people. We just started promoting it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm getting people just about every day message me privately, and it's just such a beautiful feeling of hope, to give hope. And I know you got your clothing line, and I think I see on some of your clothing line you're a hope dealer, and that's how I'm feeling this month, especially with people really leaning in on I can do it too. And I remember it was about 5 years ago, I did my first 30 days. And in those first 30 days, I did nothing else except drop alcohol, and I lost 14 pounds. And I like to say I lost, I guess, the wine belly, the muffin top. And then I did 3 months, or yeah, I did 3 months about 3 years ago. And now I'm taking on a year. And I have done some emotional work around it in regards to releasing emotional trauma, called rest. And for whatever reason, that work that I have done, the charge is gone. There's neutrality now. And it's the most peaceful place to go into women's golf, not knowing that I need to have a drink. I'm like, I'm okay with water. I'm okay with bubbly. I'm okay. Like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay. And we're just talking about, so let's dive into this. So people that are getting off of it for the first time, some tips and tricks of how to convert over to the craving. So what are some of the things people can be doing? Like my sister eating candy and saying, my
Well,
name's
that was
really good. But yeah, let's talk about
That's it, exactly. So number one is knowing that it is okay to stop drinking, because a lot of people feel the pressure in social situations, and I've kind of developed this persona where I'm the sober girl, and I'm like, I'm not ashamed of it.
that.
And I think a lot of the problem is the stigma and the shame that comes along with it, and people are like, well, they're gonna look down on me. They're gonna look bad, and it's actually the stigma starting to shift. So it's okay to be sober. The first little bit, especially when you're a woman in a certain age group, they think you're pregnant. Um, and I mean, I didn't correct some people. I was just like, oh no, I'm not drinking. It's okay. And, having a replacement is really good too. There's actually a lot of virgin cocktails nowadays. It's actually a little more mainstream, especially in urban centers. Here in Vancouver, it's actually kind of cool to be sober. And so there usually is a lot of virgin drinks on the menu. Myself, I prefer Perrier with some lemon juice. And I just kind of have convinced myself I'm fancy drinking my sparkling water. But sugar is a big thing. There's some physiology with alcohol in your body. So what you're actually craving is the sugar. And so, to have a little bit of chocolate or a little candy to suck on, it replaces that craving. Because once the alcohol's been removed,
Mhm.
there really isn't a craving anymore. It's mostly your head telling you that that's the solution.
Yeah.
But I know you touched on your sister, and her medical issues. I
Mhm.
know we've talked about this previous when we spoke. Well, I was on 17 medications when
Wow.
I started this journey. The health troubles that I had were lengthy. So not only was I on medications for depression and anxiety, I was on a gamut of pain medications for endometriosis. My thyroid was out of whack. My whole body was completely not functioning properly, and I was on 17 medications. And now today, the only thing I do take is Juice Plus. So medically, I've healed as well. So
That
it's
that
it's incredible.
story, right? To think that something like that habit, which you think is socially accepted, um, was playing such havoc on your body, and over time you were able to heal that. And so there's the quote, like the hope dealer, right? Giving people
Yeah.
hope that you can rebuild your body, your cells, replicate healthy DNA, but you put a habit like alcohol in your body every day, it's going to start to break down, and it depends on your age, right? And it depends on other habits too. And I see some people getting sicker and sicker as they get older. And you probably notice this too. It's like even just going back to your like high school friends and
Oh
see
yeah.
social media, and you can either see the people that have been taking care of themselves, right, as we head into that kind of like, I'm going to be 50 at the end of the year, and I'm like, wow, like either they're looking really good, or they're not looking good at all, and they've aged significantly. And then you start to think about, what are the other habits in their life that they're choosing to do that's breaking their body down faster. So no judgment. It's just that at the end of the day, for me as an advocate of being like a healthy life expert, I want people to feel awesome in their body every single day, because to me that is such a gift. And I was like, I never ever want to wake up ever again with another hangover and another like who pooped in my mouth kind of feeling. We all know that feeling, right?
Yeah,
And let's get the tongue scraper, and then let's decide how many naps we can have during the day to get rid of the hangover so that you can potentially do it all over again. Like, been there, done it,
absolutely.
right?
Well, and when you make healthy choices when you're feeling better, when
Mhm.
you're feeling crappy, you make crappy choices.
Yeah.
So when you're drinking and drinking alcohol is a depressant. So, your brain function is affected and you make worse choices. When you're hungover, you don't want to go hiking. You don't want to go to hot yoga. Hot yoga hungover would be the world's worst thing to do. Uh, right? So you're going to make different choices based on the way you feel. You're going to eat differently. When you're hungover, you want to eat greasy foods. You choose pop and sugary drinks because you're dehydrated. You don't go for the water. But
Yeah,
when you're feeling good, you make the better choices. So it's inevitable. You're going to do better when you're feeling better.
absolutely. Can you tell the audience you shift quickly? I remember when I was out and I saw you, and you were on this path, and then like bam, 2 months later you were on this path and you haven't looked back. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about the work that you're doing right now in the world of bringing attention to sober is cool?
Well, it's kind of funny how everything just started to fall in place. And it was like, I watched Oprah and The Secret and the power of that, the positivity in the universe. And, I kind of adopted that and an essence of spirituality into my life. And all of my journeys have kind of overlapped. And I just had faith, and I don't have fear in my life anymore. I just have this push, and I became a hope dealer. And it started with a slip and tongue. I am a member of a 12-step program, but I was also, doing a lot of speaking at the time for Juice Plus. And I was at an event, and I went to introduce myself as Kimberly Masters, Juice Plus representative number 1 or whatever. And I ended up saying my 12-step program, Kimberly Masters, and I am an alcoholic. And it actually touched someone in the room. And I started sharing more of my journey. And in sharing my journey, it started to heal my heart. And I started to notice it was helping other people. And it's through helping other people that I found so much healing and so much growth and the impact I'm able to have. And like you said, being a hope dealer. If we don't see someone else leading the way, we don't know it's possible.
Right.
When I was growing up, we saw, all the magazines in the grocery store, and all of the women in the magazines are perfect. And, all of the articles are telling us, how can we be better? How can I be better? And so I never felt like I was good enough. And it was always striving to be better, but feeling like garbage. And so when you start to see someone that's succeeding, you get that feeling like, if she can do it, I can do it too.
Right.
And hope is kind of that thing that unlocks the key of willingness. Like, people, they don't just wake up and they're like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Because I did that a million times. I was like, I am never, ever, ever gonna drink again. Never, ever, ever. But I couldn't do it. I never had the stamina to keep it up, because always the thoughts in my head took over. But when I started to see other people who were doing it, and other people who were saying, you can do it, come on, let's go, instead of people that were like, no, you suck, you're never going to amount to anything, I
Mhm.
was like, I want to be more like that. I want to be someone that inspires other people. Part of my story was that my ex-husband actually passed away of a fentanyl overdose just over 2 years ago. And when that happened, I was 2 years sober. And that was right around the same time where I was having that slip of tongue, and people were starting to go, I want to know more about your story. And it was just, I paid attention to the cues the universe gave me, and it led me on this journey of I don't know how I became an inspiration to so many people. It's really uncomfortable to me, and I don't know. I don't get it, but I found I'm able to help people with my story. I have so many different parts of my story, and I'm not ashamed of those parts of my story. And I share them openly because I know it makes a difference. Had I heard somebody like me 10 years sooner, maybe I would have left my husband sooner. Maybe it wouldn't have gotten so bad. A lot of the questions I ask myself is, maybe if I had been louder about my recovery earlier, maybe he wouldn't have had to die. You know, maybe if I had been louder about the love in my heart for my new life, maybe someone else might not have had to suffer as long. And so I just have made it my mission to recover very loudly, and to let other people know that it's possible. I was that girl that drank herself to sleep every night, who cried because she didn't know how she was going to pay her bills. Meanwhile, the white picket fence outside the house made it look like everything was okay. I had this badge of honor and this chip on my shoulder where I couldn't ask for help and I couldn't admit when I was wrong. And now I ask for help every day. And I'm the first to say, I don't know something.
Mhm.
And that humility I've been able to gain has offered me this amazing life and this huge amount of growth. And, I just keep saying yes to life, and life keeps getting better. And I started a clothing line by accident, where I wanted to be proud of my recovery. And I made a sweater that said sober as fuck. And I posted it on social media, and people said, "Where did you get your sweater?" And I was like, "I made it." And they're like, "Could I get one too?" And that was just about a year and 4 months ago. And now I have an amazingly large business that I run on my own that supports myself and my children, and is opening doors not only for myself but for other people to get into recovery, or just to find that alcohol doesn't serve them. You don't have to be a bottom of the barrel drunk who's homeless to remove alcohol from your life. You just need to realize that maybe this isn't serving me. Maybe if I take this one thing out, I'll be able to make six other healthy choices.
Right.
I never thought removing alcohol would transform absolutely everything in my life. It has absolutely transformed every aspect of my life. When they said nothing changes if nothing changes, the only thing that's still the same is my name and my shoe size. Absolutely everything else has changed. I'm no longer wearing the mask that hides me from the world. I'm just authentically myself. And, I don't carry resentment and anger in my heart anymore. I walk with love and kindness toward everyone. I'm more patient as a parent. I'm more loving as a member of the community.
Mm.
And I'm able to be useful. And that wasn't a word I had in my vocabulary. I never thought of being useful. And I am able to add to life instead of take from life. And it's amazing. It's an amazing gift. And I have gratitude in my heart every day. And again, that's a word I didn't have. I was thankful, but it was more thankful for things, thankful for opportunities, but not just gratitude for life. And I see beauty everywhere I go and possibility. And it's a shift in thinking, and it's been amazing.
I love it. I could talk to you for another hour, but we're going to have to shut this down because I know people like short little videos. And this is enough, but we're going to put your link below and your handle. So where can they find you on social media?
I'm on social media as Kimberly Masters. I'm also on social media as Recovered Apparel. I also have my own blog, Little Miss Sobriety. And if anyone is interested in 12-step content, I do have a YouTube channel, Kimberlea M Vancouver. And on there, you can find alcohol specific 12-step recovery for anyone that's interested. And you're able to contact me through any of those medias if you think alcohol is a problem for you and you need a little bit of help.
I love this. I can't wait to get this video done so we can put it in our No November. So it's No Booze November. My sister and I are on this beautiful 1 year no booze, documenting it, sharing it with the world, taking our before pictures, letting, we're going to show you what that looks like and how we got through it so that we can inspire more people just like you did. Thank you so much, dear, for your time. Love you so much.
Thank you.
Amazing mission that you're on. Thank you for the transformation that you chose bravely to go into, because you are helping so many amazing people decide that it's time for them. So thank you. You are such a sparkle in the world. So appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.